real? And what is it doing there? Now they're speaking out, saying there are UFOs in U.S. airspace and they need to be taken seriously. A family in Highland, Michigan believes their house is actually haunted and thinks something is harming their little girl. They're unidentified in U.S. airspace.
The U.S. Navy has finally acknowledged that videos appearing to show UFOs flying through the air are real.
I'm Todd Bates. I've been investigating the paranormal for years, yet still have no definite answers. Join me on this mysterious journey as we discuss all things paranormal, right down to the little gnomes. Why do millions experience these mysterious phenomenon, yet we have no proof? Welcome to Haunted Voices Radio, where I try and gather the pieces that may one day form yet another puzzle. And a good evening, one and all. Welcome, everybody. We are live right here, Haunted Voices, now on the Sacred Spiral Network. Oh, my goodness. I'll fill you guys in. This is the first broadcast on that station. It's a labor of love. Kelly Brickle, of course, owns that. And I've been helping her construct it and but do the behind the scenes. I like the behind the scenes kind of stuff. So be sure check it out. Let us know what you think over there. sacredspiralnetwork.com. You can watch it there. You'll be seeing us. Hi, John. I'll get to all the hellos here in a second. You can see us on Sacred Spiral, YouTube, Instagram. It's crazy where we're going now. Back onto Twitch. And I had some emails about asking if this show is going to be turned into a podcast afterward and distributed. I don't know. That's actually something I haven't talked to Kelly about, but I will find that answer out for you and get back with you. That way you guys can listen to it over there on Apple and Google and all that fun stuff. So it's a lot of fun working with the station. I'm not overloading myself like I did in the past. You know, doing the intros for the new shows and things. I enjoy that. You guys know I enjoy that. And it's a lot of fun for me and it gets a lot out of my system and keeps me busy and out of trouble. But all that aside, I want to say some hellos and then we're going to get to our guest here. My goodness. Hi, Megan. And of course, my beautiful Sherry is watching. Hi, honey. Love you. And, you know, we've got people from hi to Chad and Courtney. Hi, Courtney. Of course, John Swinky. Tim. Hi, Tim. And Jamie Lynn made it. Jackie Campbell. How you doing, hon? A lot of great people. A lot of great supporters in there. So thank you for that. And welcome to the new station, folks. Be sure and check them out. Now, tonight, we're going to be kind of... we're going to have a blast. We're going to be kicking it old school. We're going to play some EVP samples for you. We have none other than Michael La Chiana back on the show. Now, this man, wow, he's a filmmaker. He's an investigator. He's out there. And his film, Journeys Through the Past, is amazing. You find that on Amazon Prime. Watch that. I think he's got another episode coming up here soon. We'll talk to him about that. But we're going to talk about his experiences. We're going to talk about some EVP tonight. You know, it's going to be one of those nights where, you know, we're going to talk about old school, new school again, all the fun stuff. So you guys jump in, put your comments on the side. We'll post those on the screen here as quickly as my old butt can get to them. We'll get them posted on the screen. So make sure you put your comments in there, your experiences, whether you agree or disagree with what we're talking about. All that stuff's important, folks. And just a couple more quick announcements. I do have a half off book sale. I want to announce that real quick. On my website, thehauntedvoice.com or toddmichaelbates.com. Either one will get you there. And you can pick up a signed copy of the book for only $5. You just enter the coupon code at checkout, half off, and you can get the book signed, shipped to your door for mailbox for $5, folks, right there on the website. Also, yes, we are still broadcasting to the original Haunted Voices fan page and YouTube. Now we're going out to different other ones, including, this is going to wake a lot of you folks up out there, including the old WLTKDB yearbook Facebook group and the old station YouTube. It's broadcasting there to liven that up, because bringing that back a little bit. It's just sitting there collecting dust, folks. Might as well use it. So you can find us a lot of those different places and all that fun stuff. But what we're going to do is take a quick shameless plug break, and we're going to come back with Michael. We're going to talk some EVP, get those questions ready, get your recorders out, folks. We may go over settings. You guys want to have questions. We can answer them right there. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be a good refresher course. So hang tight. More Haunted Voices with Michael Chiana on the way. 8 minutes past the hour, folks. Welcome back. Haunted Voices Live right here on the Sacred Spiral Network. And without further ado, we're going to bring up my good friend, fellow researcher, filmmaker, just all around awesome guy, wealth of knowledge, Mr. Michael Chiana. Welcome. How are you, Michael?
Hello. Hey, everybody. How you all doing?
Oh, man.
Thanks for having me on, as always.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of fun having you on here. You are a wealth of knowledge, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You've been in the field decades, and you've been out in the thick of it. You know, you and I have had a lot of talks about investigating protocols, all the fun stuff. But you and I have never really sat down and talked about just straight EVP, you know, and I've been looking forward to this. EVP. And I was going to be able to talk about that with Nicole last week, but we had this windstorm that wiped us out. So she's rescheduled for June, then I knew you were coming up. So I'm like, okay. And then we were talking about, on the last show I had on, we were talking about EVP and reel-to-reel, you know, magnetic tape cassette recorders. And you said you had a reel-to-reel story.
Yeah.
And I've been waiting, and I don't want to wait anymore for this, Mike. What's going on?
I still own that reel-to-reel to this day.
You still have it?
Yes. I bought it when I was 14, 1978. And it's sitting right over there on my stereo rack. Still works.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I don't have the recording anymore, but
sure.
But that was my first recording. But I'll tell you the whole story.
Well, share the experience, because there's a lot of the generation coming in, and some of the past generation. They don't know what the hell a reel-to-reel recorder is. Right. Kind of explain what it is to them and how it differs from maybe a cassette recorder.
Well, let me first start saying, for many people have heard the story. I'm sorry I'm repeating it, but this was how I got started in the paranormal back in 1978. I grew up in a home, didn't realize back in the day the home was from 1928. It was a Dutch colonial on Long Island, New York, and grew up in a big family. Never had any paranormal type of experiences as a young kid, but I loved everything from our generation as far as the Munsters, the Addams Family, the Ghost of Mrs. Muir, anything related to Ghost Scooby-Doo. I loved. Never just loved it. Didn't have any experiences. Didn't even think about if it was real or not. And when I got to around 14, I was a starting out musician. And for some reason, I thought I had to have this most state-of-the-art Pioneer 707 reel-to-reel that back then cost $700. And back then, you could go into a record store or a place that sold equipment. You can give them $10. You just keep coming back and just keep giving them money. And that's what I did. I would ride my bike up there, and eventually I paid this thing off, and I bought the reel-to-reel. And I was using it for music and recording and things like that. And then I one day came across an article by Dr. Hans Holzer. Didn't know who he was. And I read this story called Ocean-Born Mary that was a ghost story out of New Hampshire. And I grew up in New Hampshire. And so I said, oh, this is interesting. And I read the whole story. It was fascinating. And at the very end of the chapter, there was just 2 or 3 paragraphs. And it said, you too can record ghosts. And Dr. Hans Holzer, I said, wow, what's this? And I read it. And it basically told you that you could take a recorder. We didn't have any digital recorders back then. You could take a recorder and you can plug it into a stereo system, a receiver. We used to have the receivers, and just go down to 0, pure static, and just plug it in.
Yeah.
And let it run, and very, very simple what he described. And so I did it. I had this reel-to-reel. I put it on. Those tapes were 2-hour tapes. Put it on, and I left. I went out, probably went and played or went down the street or whatever. And when I came back, I started reviewing the tape. And about an hour in, now remember, this is just pure static. That's all you hear is static, nothing else. And it's not even a microphone being used. And with that, there was a man yelling and screaming at the top of his lungs, like bloody murder. I almost thought it was like a plane crash going down. That's what the man was terrified. And he was screaming, cursing, and it was super loud. Now remember, this was not recorded with a microphone at all, and blew me away. And that was my first experience and my first recording ever with the paranormal. And you know, there was we didn't have cell phones back then. Yeah, we had walkie-talkies and CBs and stuff like that, but this was not that. This was, I mean, the needles on the meter were pegging, and when this man was screaming. So
wow.
So that's how I got started in EVPs. Didn't know, and it wasn't really electronic because, like you said, it was going onto tape.
Sure.
And that's what put me on the path back then. And from that point, I would go to the library and I would take out all the books, because we didn't have any computers or anything like that. Everything was through the library, and I would go and just sit there and read through all these different books, the Bermuda Triangle, and anything to do with ghosts I'd read, and just through the years. And then I think it was around the early 2000s when digital technology really came in.
Yes.
And it really made it easier to record, for me anyway, to capture a lot of things. And that's what I started doing. And then I started meeting other people that were into the paranormal in different groups. When we got our first computer around 1996, I started seeing little group chat rooms. You couldn't even download a photo on the computers back then. All we had was these stupid little chat rooms with people's names.
I remember those days.
Fictitious names, and it was AOL. You had to wait to sign on with your phone line and all that crap. And so that's how I started meeting people that were in my area, and from there, you know, it just took off. Sure. Yeah.
And that's, you know, having that. You mentioned those chat rooms, and that was back in a different community. The community was so different back then. There was less drama. There was people got together and got things done. They shared photos in chat rooms or what have you, and everybody was civil for the most part. You had a few trolls and such.
Oh yeah.
But that was a nice community back then. And I wish
Yeah.
we still use those chat rooms, because
Yeah.
I know it's social media and everything, but I think a small chat room like that gives you a more intimate experience.
Well, it was very interesting. So many younger kids now and younger people didn't have that experience with the first
Mm-mm.
computer and stuff. And to me, when I first got my first computer, I was like, so this is a big, big, expensive calculator. That's all it was.
Basically,
It
yeah.
really couldn't do anything. And like I said, other than these chat rooms, they were so primitive. And like I said, you
Yeah.
then it started advancing. People were getting little sound effects that they can do, and you remember all that. So,
Sure.
but yeah, and now
It's the little things. And we talk
see
about
how
the
this
past.
evolved, us being older, and to see how this has evolved now, it's crazy. It's to me that's why I still love old school, and I still love doing my things, old ways.
Right.
I have tried all the different things that have come out over the years, ITC and different toys and meters and gadgets and things like that. But still came to the conclusion the number one things to use was audio, video, photography, personal experiences.
Yeah.
That's what I go by. Some of the new technology I love. I use thermal video, which you can buy the cheaper thermals. And people say, oh, they don't work and this and that. Well, watch my first episode and you'll see what we captured with that lady that's floating in front of us on the video. Now, I love
Yep.
thermal video because if you capture something, you have something moving around.
Well, the thermal imaging also, to touch on that, used to be so outrageous. You used to have to beg maybe your local fire department to use an old clunker they had or something, or, because they were so expensive. And
$10,000-$15,000.
yeah. And the evidence on them that was captured, it was kind of really, it was unknown. Really unknown back then. Now it's more prominent. Things are detailed, but they have so much coming out. Then I want to get to some of these EVP and play some of these. But having all the new equipment come out, and I think for me anyway, the reason I'm stuck in old school is because I haven't figured that out yet. And I have to. I'm kind of the person that you start something, you finish it. And we've captured so many great voices on magnetic tape, reel to reel magnetic tape, cassettes, micro cassettes, that I think that needs to be explored more. That's all.
Yeah. Things that have passed you by. You said technology. Don't worry about it because a lot of it's not worth anything.
Right.
And all these gadgets and these people spending $3,000-$4,000 for things that are just meters, and they're all based pretty much on EMF. Do I like the trigger objects? Yeah, I do like the little Raggedy Ann doll, because if a child spirit is there, they could relate to that more. And even in my first episode, we used a trigger object of a Raggedy Ann doll, which there were two different girl spirits at that location. So, and they did light it up, and you could jump on the ground, it wouldn't go from vibrations, it would only go from EMF that it would work. So that was cool. I don't like a lot of gadgets that have like 5 and 6 features that you can do different things with. I think it's focus on one thing. Each piece of equipment should be for one
Exactly. Focus on one thing. I think, in my opinion, going into a location and having too much would do just the opposite. And
you can.
I wouldn't want to be around something like that. Less is more. And with the odds that anything could happen at any given moment, you want to have as many witnesses as you can. You want to have some records. So the less you have to keep track of, the better. If you just have a person on there perhaps that specializes in audio, they deal with the audio portion. That way where that accountability lies and so forth, and they know their job, and you get things done without having whispers or it's just the teams, there's so many teams, Michael, so many of them. And I hope and I've seen a few, and I hope they're using teamwork and teamwork skills, because it's you're all there for the same goal, and it's all about teamwork.
Like when you said, when I first started working with a lot of original groups years ago, you talk about drama. Well, there was drama back then too, because
Hmm.
all anybody cared about was getting onto taps or getting onto a TV show, and they were so ruthless, and they were backstabbing each other. And this was people in their own groups that
Yeah,
I saw that deterred me, and I got sucked into a lot of dramas because I was wanting to work with people and didn't real. I thought these people were good people and kind people, and they turned out not to be. Found that out the hard way, but you know it's not going to change who I am. I'm just not to this day. Now I don't work with
exactly.
a lot of people. I work with only older friends that I've known a long time that are really good investigators. I get people all the time wanting to join my groups and contact me, and I'm just not interested in doing that anymore because it's too much of a liability and too much of wasting your time and your knowledge. And so many people want to steal your knowledge on what you've learned over the years for their own gain, So I stay away from a lot of that. And
It's so sad that it has come to that, and
well, they think they're going to be
we have to
millionaires.
screen each other.
Like we were saying, they think they're going to get millionaire, they're going to be millionaires, and going to be famous on these TV shows. And you know, I've met a lot of the big famous celebrities, and a lot of them were super nice. And I've worked with Barry Fitzgerald and Joe Chen and the Kling brothers. I've been on different events where they were, and I loved it. And they were great people, and they were just down to earth. But then you have these other folks, and I won't mention any names, but
Sure.
are just total monsters. They're not good people, and they are egomaniacs. And it's sad. It's sad that it came into our field, and it creates a lot of drama.
And
So
that interferes with the main goal, life
yeah,
after death.
yeah.
Are we steering away from it these days?
Well,
You
I always, you know me, I don't hold back.
I know, and
Now,
that's
now,
what I love you about it.
as investigators, we have a job, and that's who we are. Who cares what your person has, this or that? The only one that should be the star is the ghost, and that's what I've always said, and that's where the effort should be. And I only like to work with people that really get great evidence
Mhm.
and are really trying to find data that's out there to see, to further our field. And so anybody else doing it and trying to make it all about them, kiss off. Go kiss off. Go get the hell out of our field because there's a lot of people we don't want to be part of that. And unfortunately, now
Yes.
it's about 90% of the field is all about that bullshit drama. So it is what it is. There's nothing you can
Thank
do.
you for that.
All you can do is go out and do your thing, and that's what I did. It's about evidence. It's about experiences. So that's
I
what it's
couldn't
all about.
agree with that more.
Yeah.
I like how you don't hold back, and it's not that wasn't harsh in any way.
Oh no.
That was just a direct
Being me.
statement. These are things that need to be said and talked about.
Yeah.
I've talked about this on other shows as well for a long time. How when we used to go on investigations, we used to worry about our paranormal equipment, ourselves, the client, and so forth.
Right.
We didn't worry about how many film cameras we had to film the event. No, we worried about the cameras we had to film the ghost we were trying to capture.
Yeah.
And that's where I see people going to. They're more worried about how many followers they have, how many film crews they have.
Yeah.
And they need to worry about the client and how many manifestations of an apparition they've had in the home, or how many times have those are the things they need to worry about instead of likes, followers, film crews. It's a slippery slope.
It's terrible that they're trying to emulate these other shows and things like that. I would say, learn your craft. Like anything. Like I'm a professional contractor. That's what I do for a living for over 40 years, and I've learned my trade. I do well financially with that. Learn your trade and learn your craft. And the paranormal is the same way. go read, go study, go follow other more
Yes.
seasoned people and see what they've experienced over the years. If you can in local areas, go offer to work with them and help them. Learn that way. But what's out there is really sickening. What's out there in this field right now, and I have to say, it has a lot to do with Facebook and social media.
Sure.
And,
Yeah.
and TikTok to me, I don't even go on TikTok because it's so pathetic, and everybody's throwing out these little paranormal, and they make up fake evidence and they throw it on TikTok and they get tons of hits, and I guess they make money off it. I don't know.
People have to be weary of things like that,
But just like in the 1800s,
it sucks you in.
When you had the spiritual movement and you had all the charlatans ripping people off and having fake rope come out your mouth saying that was some kind of paranormal. There's always going to be charlatans out there. There's always going to be people, I call it the look at me syndrome. And it should be look at the ghost, look at the evidence that I got. That's what it should be. It should not be look at me. Who cares about you? You're just an investigator. That's all you are. We should all band together and work together and share together. And it's really disheartening to see.
And I know, I know the field is ambiguous. It grows. It's ever changing.
Right.
But I don't see the point in it changing that way.
Yeah.
We're not finding any evidence that way.
No, these people don't show any true evidence. To me, a meter lighting up means nothing. Using a that's the most insulting thing, is using a flashlight. I've been carrying a mag light on my hip for 40 years. And, to undo the contact just to the point where, you're going to tell me that, by doing that, the ghost can activate that. If a ghost wants to activate that, let's pick the flashlight up and throw it across the room.
Yeah.
So
they'll make it known if they want to do something.
As we get older, we value our time. So when we do go investigate, we think of we don't want to waste 1 minute on nonsense. Go and set up 6 recorders throughout a house. That's what I do. I go in a home because I know there's activity there, and I want to see if I can capture the EVP at different angles, in different rooms, and see. And I've had 2 recorders side by side. One captured an amazing thing, the other one caught nothing. How can that
and
happen?
I love how that works.
That's the mind screw of this whole field, which is amazing. And so that's what fascinates me, is the technology and the gear and stuff like that. So I love military. Yeah, that's why I like the thermal, because that was created for the military originally. So that's why I like things like that. I like really good equipment.
It's a handy tool, and there's a lot of handy tools out there. Choose your tools wisely is what I'm getting from all this. Choose them wisely.
Stay away from your paranormal pucks.
Choose
Bill
your
a lot
wisely.
of money. Bill is making a lot of money off of those things that he put in every word into that vocabulary. Is the puck I had years ago had 1,048 words, and he handpicked every word. So if you use it enough, you're going to see the name. And the words keep repeating and repeating and repeating, and then people just run amok with it, saying, "Oh my God, it said this and that." And even the shack hacks, I don't like them. I don't like to use them. I know people enjoy them. I don't like the noise. All my EVPs are quiet. I let the spirit talk, and I want good quality recordings. I don't want.
I respect that. I highly respect that.
Yeah,
because it's two different. It's 2 different genres in audio, EVP and ITC.
Yeah.
And I wish we would work together more. I do, because I think if we work together more, we could actually figure a few things out. But it's still, things are still so separated. But it's still
thinking it's just like politics.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to change.
No, it's a tough call, and it and it is what it is, and we just have to accept that and try the best with what we have. But I want to get to some of these clips before we run out of time here. Yeah, because these are awesome. Sherry, like I said, Sherry and I listened to these for a little while, folks, before, and these are some good captures.
And they all have
definitely. want to know your comments and everything as well. What you think it says, post those as well whenever we play these. But what Michael's going to do, he's going to give us a rundown of each one, and then we're gonna play these for you fine folks. Now, the first one I have, Michael, it's titled 1817 Plantation.
Okay. Good friend of mine that I've known for years purchased this plantation several years ago. And before they moved in, she asked me, would I go there and investigate it to see what's there? You know, she's not in the paranormal, but she was fearful that something bad or negative was there. So I went and I spent several hours there, set up all my recorders, and I was sitting in the foyer just quietly. And that's what I mostly do. I'll set my recorders up. I won't ask a lot of questions. I'll just be quiet. And then randomly, when I feel to ask a question, I will. And so then I captured this voice, which the recorder was only about 6 feet away from me, and I didn't hear this voice at all. So you can go ahead and play it. Everybody
Check this out, folks. Check this out. Whoa.
And the little tapping noise, that's me just clicking on my camera. So if you hear that little clicking noise, but
Barely.
what's wild to me is that voice is that, and I didn't hear it with my ears, but it actually has reverb to it. So it's actually echoing in the hallway. And I
almost
like I
as
said,
if,
yeah,
I would
so that is
agree, like a chamber.
in my realm. Yeah.
Like a chamber of some kind. It almost sounded like they were in a.
What does everybody think they hear? I know it's kind of hard on some of these to hear over the technology and the show.
That was amazing. And the second one here, App Courthouse.
Well, tell them what that first one was. The name.
Oh, want me to tell them what
The
it was?
name is Richard.
Did
The
they?
voice was screaming,
Okay.
yelling down the hallway. Richard,
Yeah, Richard.
Richard. So
Now,
when
see,
I
we'll play it
the video,
again.
yeah.
Since we, and that's a good tip, Michael, to tell them, since we suggested what it may or may not be. Now you know, you may hear Richard a lot more clear. So that's a subjective kind of thing, but it's and I heard it whenever we listened to it last night. That's what I heard. But here it is. We'll play it again so you guys can hear it.
Richard.
I mean, it's very pronounced, very good
And so
capture.
the man that she bought the house from, his name was Ricky.
Ricky.
And so we did the research and we had all the information. When she bought the house, she had a list of who owned the home. And there were 2 different Richards that lived there that was part of the family. The great-grandfather, because this house went back to 1817. So you're talking many years. And so whoever it was calling for Richard because I was the intruder. I was sitting there. I was the stranger. And they were scared. And they were calling for Richard, like, Richard, there's somebody sitting in the house here with us, you know? And so that's the backstory of that.
I love that. And of course they're saying, they're agreeing, Richard, they hear it now. And Courtney said it sounded like almost like a UK accent. So you can dig into these. That's the beauty of electronic voice phenomenon. These voices is if you listen to them long enough, you can hear them sing the Star Spangled Banner. So you've got to, you know, pace yourself, take them in stages and things. Because these are great captures. And
so there was nothing, I didn't find, I got about 10 or 15 EVPs from the property, nothing scary, just the you know, people that had lived there before, they're still there. And I actually got somebody, I love to ask the question, you know, what year is it? And they told me 1750.
Wow.
So I was like, wow. So, that's so neat. If it is true, which I can't
Wow.
see why the spirit would lie, I'm talking
That's
about something from
incredible.
1750. So yeah, it's great. That's why I love EVPs as far as
Yeah.
when you get a good one, you have to really, if it's a B or a C, I don't really, B's are okay, but C's are tough. So you just throw them out. Just keep going out and getting more. That's all.
Yeah. They're
You
like
know?
B's, class B's
Yeah.
are like the fish that you catch and go, and then put it
Yeah,
back.
little sunfish, throw it away.
You want,
But there are
those,
triple A's out there, which
and
I
you
have.
don't
So,
catch the big fish all the time. So just go out there and
no,
keep fishing until,
right.
eventually you'll snag onto a few.
When you least expect it, that's when you
Yeah,
get
when
those
you
fish.
least expect it.
And that's
And
with anything, video, photos, or audio.
I definitely want to stress that when you least expect it, because when you're thinking about it, I think that heightens your awareness to where your body, the mind closes a little more because the body doesn't want to scare itself.
Right.
Maybe.
And me, like from the time I get to a location till the time I leave, I run my recorder the whole time, or multiple recorders. So I capture, even if I'm walking upstairs to go to a different location or something, I leave that recorder going. And a lot of investigators say, well, why? How do you get so many things? I said, I don't turn my recorder off. I let it
Yeah,
run.
you have to do it.
Yeah.
You've got to keep recording.
Yes,
Or
and you have to tag everything. Tagging is so key. Anything that you hear that would sound like paranormal, you have to tag it. That way, if you're in a room and somebody's yelling a name and you didn't tag it, you tag everything. So wow, this is
Yep.
not any of us.
Note this, note that, note cat, note car, note
That's right.
wind, any little thing you can hear with the naked ear, you try and do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a good point, Michael.
Yep.
Now, the App Courthouse, McLean, second floor. Tell us about this bad boy.
This was Appomattox Courthouse up in Virginia, and this is actually where Lee and Grant met. And they wound up at the McLean house. It wasn't planned. That's where they went in. They sat in a parlor, and they both signed the peace treaty to end the Civil War. And it was right there at this home. And I was always fascinated to go there. It's about 3 hours from here, so just north of Raleigh. And so I took a ride one day, and I went up there, and I just walked the property, walked the different buildings. It's free. There's no charge to go there.
Oh, cool.
And while I was upstairs on the second floor, the house was empty. Downstairs was a tour guide, one of the rangers, and he was just talking quietly to husband and wife that were visiting, and they were downstairs, and I was upstairs, and I asked this question.
Check it out, folks.
Anybody here with me? Anybody here with me? Anybody here with me?
All right, what you guys think? These are intelligent responses and some of my favorites. When you have
that one, he has an accent. You can definitely hear his accent. Yeah.
What's explain? What do you think?
So I was up there by myself, and you can hear my camera going off, and then you hear a voice saying, "I'm going to stab you. I'm going to stab you. I'm going to stab you." And I was like, I'm glad I didn't hear that one at the time. Which is very, probably maybe 10% of the time I'll hear something that I actually record. But other than that, it's things that we don't hear with our ears,
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the mystery of them. And we'll play that again now that he explained that, folks. We'll play this again so you can let's see what you think.
Anybody here with me? Anybody here with me?
And that's why I had that little chuckle. I couldn't believe that was. I believe that was captured, but yet I couldn't believe that was said. That was an intelligent response.
Oh yeah. I'd say 95% of my EVPs are intelligent. Very few are residual.
Good.
Which I love. I love that they can communicate with me and connect with me. But it's my approach too that helps.
And what do you think? And let's stop there a second. I mean, what do you think your approach how does your approach differ from a lot of other investigators out there, Mike?
Well, me being in the service business for over 40 years and me having to go up to people's front doors and meet total strangers for the first time and go in their home and do work for them and then charge them a lot of money and have them still like me afterwards. I'm very good with people. I really enjoy nice people. There's a lot of assholes out there. I don't like dealing with them. And as I get older, I don't want anything to do with them. But I do enjoy people, and majority of the people that I meet are so nice and such great stories that I meet from folks.
See, that's cool because that radiates when you go into a location, Michael. That personality radiates and welcomes this kind of activity.
I truly believe when you go to a home that's claiming activity, you go into their home. You are a stranger. You better come in there and be respectful, and you know, that's what it comes down to. I mean, you know, if you're a true investigator, it's not do we believe in ghosts? We know that there's ghosts out there. We've been doing this long enough, but you have to show respect and
respect.
And a lot of spirits that, you know, that's why I always tell them my name. I introduce myself. I always ask, you know, whoever's with me, we all introduce ourselves with our names. And then we always say, oh, what's your name? You know, and then we'll always say a minute or two, like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. What was your name? You know, like we'll say it twice.
Yeah.
And we've gotten a lot of names, and they'll say my name. I have probably 15, 20 recordings of spirits saying my name. So
wow.
By introducing yourself, it's important to do that. But you have
just
to
breaking that ice, breaking that tension.
Yeah, have a vibe. I think you have to go in very mellow and just low key and be respectful and be comfortable. You know, I think that's important because spirits. I always say spirits can size you up in a matter of a minute.
Oh,
you're coming to home,
I agree.
If you're some jackass and gonna come in there and be obnoxious and this and that. You know, I don't believe that things can get really physical, but I do believe there are situations where, yeah, you can get thrown down the stairs. You can get pushed out the door. You can get scratched. Not that I'm a big believer of scratches and things like that, but I believe if you have an intent that's not, you know, respectful, they'll
you said the key word, intent.
Yeah. Passion and intent. That's the two biggest things other than knowledge that you really need to be a good investigator. And everything else goes out the door. Everything else is crap. As far as I'm concerned.
This is awesome info. This is great, Michael. And we have just a few more. Brushy Tour.
Okay. I don't know if you've heard of Brushy Mountain Penitentiary. It's in Tennessee. It's past Knoxville. And this is where James Earl Ray was held. And he's the man that was supposedly killed Martin Luther King. And he was one of their bigger famed prisoners that never left there, you know.
Yikes.
And so when it first closed down in like the 90s or the early 2000s, I saw something on the news about it and they said it was haunted. And then come to find out, like they started letting people rent out the entire penitentiary for the night.
Oh, really?
To investigate. And wasn't cheap, like $1,500 for the night. You know, they were making some money. But if you got enough people to chip in, it wasn't bad. I mean, I think we all paid about $75. We had the entire prison to ourselves. The two girls that worked there that run End of the Line Paranormal, we became very good friends with them. And they were the hosts that would do the tours, walk everybody around in the beginning. And then they would just sit in the office at night while everybody was wandering the locations. And I'll tell you,
wow.
And this is a prison that's way, way out in the middle of nowhere. It's out in the country, and the Brushy Mountain is right behind you, and that's all coal mines and caves. And so they would put all the prisoners to work in the caves. And it was a brutal place, and a lot of people died there. And that's why they called it the End of the Line, because you went there, you weren't getting out. And so this was on the tour. This recording was on the tour. And like I said, a lot of times on tours, I'll just run my recorder just to document whatever they're saying. So I have the history documented. And so we were just going up to the second floor when I heard this voice, which I knew it wasn't any of us.
Check it out, folks. Here we go.
you can hear that little sad voice in the background saying a word.
Yeah,
Anybody,
I don't
if
have the
anybody can hear
headphones
it.
on. I use those as monitors. But that was that
So what,
residual or was that intelligent?
that I can't say because like we were in movement and going up the stairs at the time, but
Mm.
I think
Yeah, she
that could
didn't
have been
ask any
possibly
direct
residual.
questions.
Yeah, it was a person. It sounds like a man calling crack, 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 and I was like, I don't know if he wants crack or they were doing something to his crack, but it stands out. I was like, none of us. We were all quiet. We were just quietly walking up the stairs, and then you hear this voice coming through saying crack. Uh,
All
which,
right,
you know,
listen.
I'm sure there was all kinds of drugs there. I'm sure there was crack. No, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna get recordings of that, I'm sure, because that
Yeah,
screamed a
so
lot.
that caught me off guard.
Let's see if this helps you. We'll play it again now. I mean, I would agree. It sounds like the word crack.
And it actually sounds like, because if you study, you know, recordings enough, it sounds like it's a different realm because the voice is coming through clearly. And meanwhile, you hear all the people going upstairs. It definitely sounds out of place.
Separate.
It sounds like it's in a different realm, but
Yeah, like
no.
there's some kind of like a veil separating it, like some kind
Yeah,
of
but
film.
if anybody ever wants, and I'm not one that goes to prisons and things like that a lot. It's never been my thing. But I had the opportunity. A good friend of mine couldn't make it, and he needed some more help. So we actually decided to go help them, and that's why we went. But other than that, I was kind of fearful to go at first because knowing how many evil and bad people were there and died, I didn't want to pick up on any attachments that, you know, could be bad or I could bring home, you know, in a place like that. And the weird thing was the place was so peaceful, even though you knew what went on there, and we were in all the different cells and on the property. We went down in the hole where they would throw people down there in the hole for months at a time, and so yeah, it was a great opportunity. Brushy Mountain Penitentiary in Tennessee.
Yeah, Mikey said their group investigated that too, Michael.
Oh, nice, nice.
So they've been there.
I hope they had some good evidence.
Yeah, I mean it's I'm gonna put that on my list.
Yeah, that's if you can get about 12 people to go, because I think you can bring about 12, and the place is so huge that you could spread out and you would never hear each other. It's so big, and then it brings the cost down too, so it's under $100 a person, and it's worth it. You get the place for about 12 hours, so
Yeah,
you can't find something in 12 hours, and you're not doing something right.
plenty of time. We just have a few minutes. I want you to get out about your series, Journeys Through the Past. Tell everybody about that, where they can find it, and what they can expect.
Sure. Well, my first episode has been out for a while now.
Which is excellent, by the way.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all your support and watching it. And it's called Journey Through the Past, Heritage Hunters, and it's on Amazon Prime. You can watch it. It's the first episode is about the Country Squire Inn, which is a beautiful winery and inn property here in North Carolina. It was originally started as a very small little log cabin in 1961, and the man just kept buying buildings from the local area, and he would buy the building and bring them over and connect them and connect them and connect them. And I think there's about 7 different buildings that are all connected now. And then he would go to old schools that were being torn down. He would take the wood and the bricks from hotels, and he would incorporate it into his place. So we have materials from all over the area. So I think that helps with the paranormal activity. And so I started investigating there in 2010 with some really good friends of mine that had different teams. And we captured something the first night we were there. And we eventually went back over the years 11 times, and we investigated. I bring different groups. I would like to try different groups, give them an opportunity to see what they would capture. And that was my first episode, and it's got a ton of evidence on it. All my episodes are going to have a lot of evidence. That's that's what we all want to see when we watch these shows. And I made this series for investigators. Yeah, I love if the general public watches it. That's great. But I really made it for people like us that love real evidence, real stories, and a place to show it, and not just throw stuff on Facebook and have everybody
Right.
beat it up and be bullies and all this about evidence. So yeah,
Something
check it out.
people can discuss and
Yeah.
talk about, for crying out loud. God forbid we sit down and discuss and talk about something.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
so my second episode is coming out very shortly, and that's the true story of Tom Dooley. It's 1860s true murder mystery lovers triangle story that is here in North Carolina. And he and his girlfriend, he was involved with 3 cousins. He was a real man that got around. And being in a small area, you would fool around with whatever was in the area.
You wouldn't have a choice.
And so when the one cousin wound up dead, murdered, they found her. They put both of him and one of the other cousins in jail for 6 months or a year, and then they put him on trial. And we actually captured a man telling us who murdered Laura Foster.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's just one of the things. We have captured many things, but so that'll be coming out in the next month or so.
Oh man. Oh, you got me drooling. I love that kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff. And
This
the way
is
you
true,
put
and,
it together, you put it together very well.
Thank you so much.
It was very well done, and it draws you in. You explain it well, the history, which of course, if you don't love history and you're in this field, please leave.
Yeah.
They go hand in hand.
true.
You have to love history, but
That's
it's the history you put in there is good, great as well.
Well, this one is true history, and that's what made this one take even longer, because there's so many different stories, and it's still like a Hatfield and McCoy feud still going on to this day on who and who killed who and this and that and who did. Well, the book I'm using as research on top of everything else. This man was a professional researcher for years, and so he wanted to research his own family. He's relatives of the family, and he wanted to find out what the true answers were. So I'm actually using a lot of his material and information in the show, so that this is somebody that's connected to the families, and he was a
Even
professional
better.
researcher. Yes, yeah. So
even better. Jeez, you're doing awesome things. You always have.
Thank you.
Keep on keeping on, and
Thank you. And
we didn't
love
get
your
to-
book. Everybody needs to get your book and read it.
Thank
It's great. It's I can't wait for the next one to come out. It was fast. It was a journey to see what you've been through in your life. Paranormal and all the twisted evil that's out there in this world.
Yeah.
All in that book. And that you survived it. That's the most important thing.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much, Michael. That means a lot.
Yeah, great
And
book.
we're going to have you back here soon, because we didn't get to the other files. We're going to play some more next time you're on too.
Sure.
That'll be coming up. So you'll be back this summer early. And
Sure.
then,
Love being on. It's always a lot of fun.
It was so much fun talking to you, and time flies, and oh my goodness. But hang out backstage for a few. I want to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness, you're so welcome. And hang out just a little while backstage. I want to talk to you after the credits. Okay?
Oh, great. Sure.
All right, hang tight.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
And there he was, Michael Chiana. Be sure find him on Facebook. Connect. He is one of those that will definitely help you if you're new coming into this field as well, folks. But I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of those busy schedules to watch tonight. I mean, the show's a lot of fun to do, and it's even more fun when you guys are here participating like you have. And for that, I thank you. And next week, we have got, you're going to love this. He is going to school me because I'm horrible with cryptozoology. We have got none other than Mr. Barnaby Jones coming on next week. Talk some cryptozoology, and then April 9th, we're all going to be educated. We have the amazing spirit sensitive Stephanie Lynn coming on. That's going to be April 9th. Also coming up in May, we've got casket robbery. Michael Christopher is going to be returning to the show. My boss from work, Taylor Howard's going to be on May 21st. You guys are going to love this. You'll love this. We're going to talk about the next generation coming into the field. And of course, we're going to be having Tim Bear, author of Ever Near. We're going to be having him on the show to talk about all kinds of cool stuff as well, folks. So be sure, stay tuned. We've got good shows coming up. Sorry about the ones that have been back and forth and wishy-washy. We've had some weather. We've had some life happens, but we're here. We're kicking forward on Sacred Spiral Network. Be sure, check out the station, sacredspiralnetwork.com. They are accepting shows at this time as well. If you guys want your own show, I'm grateful to be here, blessed to be here, and even more blessed to work with such a fine group of people that's over there. So be sure to check them out. Check out the website. And you guys have an amazing week. Once I find, there we go. You guys have an amazing week and stay safe out there. If you're out there doing this in the field, out there getting these recordings, these photographs and so forth, stay safe. Remember, safety first. So more Haunted Voices next week, Tuesday night, 8 Central. Take care.